Ivy Valentine subscribes to Mark Yoon, so should you. Enjoy your treat!
Now listen, I don't want to sugarcoat anything for you guys. If SoulCalibur 7 does end up coming out in 2024 or 2023, I think more like 2024, 2025 sounds better. But if it does happen to come out now, it's going to have a lot of competition. And I don't know if that exactly is a good thing. So typically when we see SoulCalibur released in the past, it's different from the way it releases today. It released in the past definitely alongside Tekken's, and it also had a lot of fanfare affiliated with that. Even with 5, there was like a pretty big release that people were excited about. But that doesn't seem to be the case today. Now, the biggest issue that SoulCalibur 7 is going to face is going to be competition. As we all know, the next-gen consoles have released, and that comes with the newest fighting games that people are going to be crowding on top of, especially because they want to get that crisp new action, the next-generation experience. So now that we are in current gen with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series, fighting games are going to go all out. We've seen this with the single-player experience that is being offered to us by Street Fighter. We also see this when it comes to games like Tekken and its engine. Tekken 8 is looking phenomenal. So there's a lot of competition coming out there. Even with new experiences with new anime arena fighters such as Naruto Storm Connections, and also with Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi 4 whenever that happens to be launching. So the competition aside, each game is played differently, right? Each game is played for different reasons, and everyone plays these games for different experiences. That's totally understandable, totally justifiable, and I get that. The thing is, are they willing to launch it with these hyped up games, knowing that we just came out of like what we came out of as a world, and people's money is a little bit more strained towards making decision choices based on what they want to play at the time. I've even skipped a couple games that I would have bought outright and ended up waiting for sales to get them, such as Marvel's Midnight Suns. But that's neither here nor there. When it comes to these games and you have all of these experiences lined up and all of this competition, would you yourself as a SoulCalibur fan directly choose SoulCalibur over something, let's say, like Tekken 8 or Street Fighter 6? Because though it seems like they're very different games from the outset, there is a lot of cross-pollination when it comes to like communities crossing over and playing different variations of the games. Like Tekken people sometimes play SoulCalibur, SoulCalibur people sometimes play Tekken. This leads in with even Mortal Kombat 12 coming out. There's going to be a lot of steep competition when it comes to SoulCalibur. And as a series that never really matches over 2 million sales for physical media in general, going up against juggernauts like Tekken, even though Tekken's a little bit of a misnomer because it did reach over 10 million copies, but that's over the course of like since 2015. So there's a lot more involved with that than just numbers, so that's a little bit of a misnomer. But even games like Mortal Kombat 11, which I believe reached 12 million units sold, the competition numbers wise this is not there for SoulCalibur. So why am I bringing this up? Because if they do release this sooner rather than later than a lot of us want, right, there's a couple things that includes. So we get less polish, we get less time in the oven, and we know that Bandai Namco is releasing a ton of games. So SoulCalibur Project Soul team does help Tekken sometimes. So with Tekken 8's team actually being there, and vice versa, Tekken's team comes over to help SoulCalibur as well. But with Tekken 8 being the main focus, I've even come out before and said that, like, listen, like most every time that a Tekken game has come out, a SoulCalibur game has also come out in the same year. So they don't see each other as direct competition, which is true. But that doesn't mean that it's not siphoning sales numbers for one or the other. Now, if you want Tekken to be the best Tekken that you can be, you would want it to not have any competition, right? You want people to spend their hard-earned money on your game, on your products, if they're focusing their time and dedication towards that, right? So if we launched SoulCalibur like so close to Tekken 8, like let's say next year, even though it's within the same span of a year, that's like kind of close for those lifespans to be there, because games last a little bit longer now than they used to, generally speaking, especially with like update patches, DLC and whatnot. And even though people don't want to think of things as like games as a service type deal, it seems like everything has some kind of monetization system these days. So I'm not even counting that out for SoulCalibur, because I even tried that for SoulCalibur 5 in particular, even though it didn't last that long with the Cepheus store. But that doesn't mean that like it still can't come out. I'm just hoping that like if it does, what does that mean? Do you think Bandai Namco has enough faith in in SoulCalibur as a product to go up against the likes of Tekken? Is it like a side thing for them, or do you think that they'd want to put more focus on it and have it come out and release a year maybe after Tekken, in between something else? Because this coming out next year, like you're competing directly with Tekken 8. SoulCalibur Street Fighter launches in June, so that's a little bit sooner, but that's still direct competition. And then we also have competition with, like I said, the anime arena fighters that are coming out, more fighters that have been unannounced, and Mortal Kombat 12, which are big competition for them. Now, I think if they want the most bang for their buck, then they would release it in a window period where they don't have as much competition. So maybe if we say like Tekken 8 is coming out next year, in 2024 early, then I would say end of 2024 maybe, or like holiday 2024, or possibly even beginning first quarter of 2025. I think would be their best bet, usually around like January, because that's not when a ton of games actually come out. It's usually like a dead season after the holidays, so people are recuperating financially from the holidays if they celebrate that. But it's just a window period in video games that is a lull, and I think it would be best served for SoulCalibur to release during that lull window while there's not so much hype built up around other things. I'm excited for it, and I would want to get all of them. It's just like what I want to spend my time into, because time is money also, right? So if those games come out alongside each other, like which one am I prioritizing? To be completely honest, even though a lot of people see me as like a SoulCalibur centric channel, like I would probably spend more of my time in Tekken, just because of the fact that like there's a lot of new systems, and I know that they've spent a lot of money on it, and hopefully like SoulCalibur would come out sometime where I didn't have a lot of time being like stored up. And this also needs time to bake in the oven, like we were talking about, because if they do want to present this as a tournament game, like for esports, to actually like help with the marketing and spread the word of SoulCalibur a little bit more, it's gonna have to do a little bit better with balancing and not just giving us stuff like Reversal Edge. Like a lot of people don't like Reversal Edge, a lot of people are indifferent to Reversal Edge, but when it comes down to it, the consensus is that it wasn't great. So what do we need to do about that? We need to either nerf it or remove it. A lot of these things would happen directly in contribution towards getting into tournaments, because if we get this into tournaments, if we get this into Game Awards, if we get more eyes on it, it will increase the overall potential of sales for SoulCalibur 7 as a whole. So I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit, like, because a lot of people keep asking like where the trailer is and stuff like that, and like I told you before, SoulCalibur doesn't have a lot of money for marketing. Project Soul is a very small budget, so when it comes to releasing the game, it's probably going to be like a teaser trailer that's at some award show, or Bandai Namco might even just like throw it up on their YouTube channel, and then it's going to come out soon thereafter, just like it did with 6. But I don't know, I'm going to turn the question over to you guys, but first we want to look at last week's poll. So for the last poll, we actually went over how important is single-player modes in fighting games to you. We have 68%, which is the vast majority of votes, saying very important, 20% saying it's important, 7% saying it's kind of important, and 5% saying not at all important. This is out of 282 votes as of last Friday. Those 5 of you who said not at all, congratulations, you're in the minority. They're the loudest in the comment section, though. They're the ones that actually purport to be the ones that know everything about fighting games, and apparently you don't, because the poll numbers, even though it's a small sample size, shows that you're vastly outnumbered. Again, that may be my community, but I don't know, my community is pretty smart, so I think they know what it is. So here's some of the comments that also went alongside of that video while we were doing it at the exit, and I want to thank you guys for watching once again. You can hit the join button if you want to help support the channel. Any and all thoughts are always welcome in the comment section down below, or join the free Discord, which is in the description box below. And as I always say, guys, I love it. Thank you.
And thank you.